Those of us who pride ourselves on being productive are the first to wake up, the last to go to bed, and we maximize every moment of the day in an effort to get as much done as possible. But just because we're busy doesn't mean we're actually being productive. And that's because we're measuring for some finite resource, time. Now, to understand where this tendency comes from, let's take a little trip back in history. In the 1920s, Henry Ford and the Ford Motor Company was one of the first to bring the 9-to-5 workday into the mainstream. This was later standardized by the Fair Labor Standards Act in 1938 as a way of trying to curb the exploitation of factory workers. This instilled in many of us a very linear approach to working, and in effect, trying to manage that amount of time to be the most effective and get the most done. If you're already on the path of productivity, then you're no stranger to some of the more common time management techniques, such as the Pomodoro method, or time blocking, or even batching similar tasks. While these time management tools are extremely useful, there's something that gives you more bang for your buck, and that's what energy management is. What I'm going to do now is break down the 3 things that have been the most instrumental for me personally in moving the needle in the energy management equation, and here's what they are. Number 1, know your rhythm. I believe that we all have personal rhythms. This is how we function best during the day. Some of us are morning people, some of us are night people, but there is typically a part of the day where you are most likely to be able to get into flow, to get more done, to be focused, and not have to fight against energy demands in order to get things done. For most of us, that looks like a 3 to 4 hour block in the morning, and then getting more of the mundane tasks done in the afternoon, things like answering emails and doing more of kind of like the day-to-day things in the business that don't require intense amounts of focus. In order to know your rhythms, you have to experiment. You have to find out if you put workouts first thing in the morning, does that give you more energy or does that make you more tired? If you put workouts more in the middle of the day, does that give you a nice break so that you can then segue into different types of activity in the afternoon? I know for me personally, I fell into the trap of thinking that I needed to work out first thing in the morning, that it was the most productive thing to do, and that would set me up for the rest of the day. In actuality, what happened is after I trained, after I ran or lifted, I would actually feel more tired and it was harder for me to focus. As soon as I moved my workout or my training session to a little bit later in the day, it served as a buffer. I would work for 3 to 4 hours in the morning, take a recess, hit the trail, hit some weights, come back a couple hours later, refreshed, recharged, and ready to tackle the second half of the day. Number 2, perform an energy audit. Now, an energy audit takes discipline. It's one of those things where you have to look back over the day and assign a value to the activities, the tasks, and the appointments that you've had during the day. It may be that sitting down to answer emails is enjoyable for you for some reason and it's a +3 activity. It may be that doing lunch meetings is a +3 activity. It may be that sitting down and writing copy is a -3 activity. Now, by sitting down and later in the day looking back and assigning a value of -3 all the way to +3 to each activity, you can start to see a pattern of what depletes your energy versus what gives you more energy. Then you have the option to 1, either outsource, 2, not do, or 3, move those more energy depleting tasks later in the day because they're just probably simple mundane tasks of the day-to-day or even administrative things. By doing this, you're going to be playing more to your strengths and less to your weaknesses. Number 3 is find your keystone habit. In The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg talks about keystone habits as small changes or habits that people introduce into their routines that unintentionally carry over into other aspects of their lives. My keystone habit is definitely running, and really any physical exercise. For me, if I get 5 to 7 quality, intense exercise sessions or running sessions per week, it is an absolute given that I will focus better, I'll drop into flow, I'll be more patient, I'll have better ideas, I'll be more creative, but I'm also better at regulating my energy because it is that one thing that unintentionally makes everything else better. For some people, this could be spending time with their kids, it could be spending time with family, and it could be something as simple as making sure that you read for 30 minutes a day. In order to find your keystone habit, you may already have a sense of what that is because you know if you don't do it, like me, you may turn into a cranky bitch. But if you don't know what it is, this is simple to find out. Just have a scope, have a look at what it is that you do, and realize that when you don't do certain things, maybe you're less likely to get into flow. It's harder to focus. You're less patient. You're more reactive. And it's harder to focus altogether. As I hinted at before, when I started looking at my days from the perspective of energy management as opposed to time management, everything changed. I stopped doing a lot of those non-essential tasks, and I actually had more energy after the workday to go do things that I actually wanted to do instead of just slugging it out with work all day. Not only that, but getting out of the minutia and the busy work gave me the opportunity to really zoom out and see what I wanted for my business. And funny enough, one of the results of freeing up that space and giving myself more time led me to the conclusion that for years I've had this nagging desire to start a YouTube channel, and I thought, what a better time than now. While time management is an absolute necessity, energy management and understanding what your personal flow and rhythm looks like will give you more leverage to make use of the time when you are focused because you are using a resource that you can actually replenish instead of something that is exhaustive and finite, such as time. And by looking at what gives you energy versus what depletes it, you can really start to tailor your days, your weeks, and your months to put things in your favor so that you're doing more tasks that give you energy versus tasks that take it away. Now, this is the part of the video where I say, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell that notifies you every time an episode goes live. While I don't love that call to action, if you do like this video, consider subscribing to the channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and most of all, put into practice what you've learned today, and don't make this something that you've just consumed, but put the pen to paper. Until next time, see you soon.